Hello everyone, and welcome back. It's another Learning Fives Showmatch, this time based in the EU. The casters still from NA. Of course, myself, I am Zeta. Joining me, Meowing Cat, my good friend, the color from the world of better League of Legends players. I am nowhere near him, but he is here to bring the knowledge and the pain to these two teams.
Yeah, and we are getting right into this show match with some... I think there's some cool-looking picks that we will see. For anyone wondering, we do a pro draft ahead of time, so that way if players don't own champions, they're not at a disadvantage. And I'm excited just looking at this. You guys are in for a surprise. Or not a surprise, just an interesting match.
It's not a surprise.
Yeah, it's really standard, actually, but it's going to be fun.
It is absolutely going to be a fun match, and with the Nidalee taken off the table, for those of you who are unaware, they can actually ask the other team's coach if they are cool with target banning and response banning as a result, and they have allowed that this match, which is why this Nidalee is banned away from the one trick. So far, it seems pretty standard. Zoe, a very top-tier mid. Nidalee is a relatively strong jungler, especially in the hands of someone who is extremely practiced with it, and there comes the Illaoi.
Yeah, right there, we already see it. Kind of an interesting pickup. The problem with Illaoi in an organized environment like this is that she can kind of get played around really easily. You don't want to send 20 people grouped around her. You want to play around that ulti cooldown. And if you have CC, you can lock her down and make sure she's not going to be slapping everybody with tentacles. So it's going to be interesting to see how much she's going to actually get done. But against a melee matchup, she definitely will make good use of that kleptomancy.
Yeah, she's going to be able to smack around, if I am correct, the Cho'Gath quite a bit. Yes, just making sure.
It is a flex Cho'Gath Maokai. They might want to just trade around and troll us a little bit, but so far it does look like a Cho'Gath top lane. Either way, one of them will go top lane.
One of them is going to get hit, and hit quite hard. Percent health, it's something to be a little bit afraid of, a lot of bit afraid of if you are unaware or stacking health, which both of these champions are. So on the table now is still the 80 carries to go. Of course, these were not the order in which everything was picked. The bans are correct in terms of the timing. So first bans on the table, we had Kha'Zix, Zoe, Shudge, Taric, Orianna Jarvan, Ornn, Malz, and then we've got the new stuff, right? We got, actually, was Yorick there before? I'm not exactly
Yorick wasn't actually banned. It was Sejuani Kha'Zix, not Yorick Zed. So,
Yes.
EU team's throwing us for a loop a little bit, but
also I don't think Ori was banned. Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, the Nidalee was banned, but it wasn't in the pro draft. So, but it was communicated to both coaches.
Perfect. Well, either way, Varys into a Tristana. Actually, what do you think of this matchup right now?
Yeah, so both of these 86 are probably going to opt into that Relic Shield start that we see from so many 80 carries nowadays. It's going to provide a lot of sustain, and I think that the Relic Shield meta, while Varys is one of the better users of it, it does also nullify his power quite a bit because of that sustain that it provides. So this lane is going to be a bit easier for the Janna Tristana, and we could possibly see them, maintaining a high enough health that they can possibly aggress in these, levels 3 through 5 on the Varys Lulu.
Oh Okay, everything secured. Jana, I know you have a little bit of experience with the supports.
A little bit.
A slight amount of experience. Do you think Jana right now is still at that top tier that she was just before the season actually officially started?
Yeah, well, if we look at Janna's win rate and pick rate, she's the highest in pretty much both of them, I believe, at the moment for supports. So in a solo queue environment, she is extremely strong. In competitive play, she's been seeing a lot less value, and from what I hear from other support players and from my own experience, she's not nearly as strong in a coordinated environment because of her immobility and, the ease of killing her herself. If you take away Janna, she can't really peel for herself that much once she's just blown everything down. So play around her cooldowns and take her out means that team is just down a member. So, but she definitely is strong, and the lower you go in elos, the more valuable she becomes, I feel. So definitely a good pickup. Just maybe not as strong as you would think.
Okay,
Definitely
fair
still
enough.
very
So,
valuable though.
so it's very strong, but not as strong. Yeah, that's conclusive and decisive evidence
Just
that we
very
know.
take your like really high level of expectations and just knock it down a tad. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, we didn't touch much on these mid lane picks here. The Syndra and Ryze, two kind of different playstyles, both for immobile mages. We have this kind of long range poke compared to more assassin-y mage with the Syndra. And I think both of them are going to have a tough time in this mid lane with the Maokai and Zac in the jungle, both having a lot of CC and lockdown. So mid lane's definitely a very volatile lane that we're going to have to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, volatile. In the sense that a lot of that time, that Xerath is, incredibly hard to reach with the Syndra. Those ranges are just, they're not great. It's not, an ideal situation when you're trying to land a stun and he's at max Arcana Pulse distance. You're at a slight disadvantage to say the least, opening yourself up for that pressure. But with that Zac, pressure towards the mid lane, they could try to turn it around with some of those slingshots.
Yeah, and I mean, with the Zac also, we didn't touch too much on the Alawi besides mentioning that she's going to be smacking around Cho'Gath. Zac is actually really good with the Alawi. I mean, if you look at this team comp, every member has some form of hard CC that they can give to this Alawi. Varus having that ultimate, Lulu has the ultimate as well as Polymorph. Syndra having the QE, and then Zac, who is actually going to have this kind of interesting combo with Alawi. He has obviously a lot of CC with the E. He can slingshot in and the Q, but his ultimate is what's going to be interesting to watch. We might see Zac get like a very large ultimate and bring multiple members into that Alawi, which kind of has this weird combo that just tentacles into like goop is kind of what we're going to see.
Yeah.
Sounds like a not fun time for the enemy team, but we're going to have to see.
Least. All right. With that, we are going to get into the game. Before we do, I do want to touch on one thing. We didn't get a prediction from you, Meowing. Where are you leaning on this one, right? We talked about the bot lane. We talked about, a slight mismatch in the mid, possibly, in terms of the range advantage. But where are you sitting on this fence?
Yeah, I think looking at the champions alone, I really do like the comp that spent traffic on Prawn has. But with that, we are already loading into the game. I guess we're having a NA pause.
NA pause. I mean, I've experienced pauses. I've experienced long pauses. I've experienced, in fact, one time where we had to do over an hour and a half of entertaining in the middle of a pause. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, you regret every moment. And with that being said, we are going to introduce our two teams. And of course, for this, it is the EU Showmatch week number 1. We've got on the blue side, Spent Traffic on Prawn, Stevie Freak in the top lane, Linera in the jungle, Farrelaf in the mid lane, Squid Shooter at AD carry, and Sakura Devanam, which I probably butchered completely at support.
Yeah, and on the red side, we have Oaks, proper Blokes, with I am Alpharius in the top lane, I'm just Misty in the jungle, Sertsu in the mid lane, Mabarin in AD carry, and second Overlord in support. That's a
Now,
good team name, Oaks Proper Blokes.
Oak's proper blokes. That is the classy nature that I expect EU to have, but never get in the EU West solo queue. You know,
Now,
things happen. But
mentioning those proper blokes, all carrying their stopwatches except for Mabarin.
oh, that's the key, right? Proper blokes have a stopwatch in their pocket. It's attached to a chain, a monocle at close hand. I mean, that's the definition of a proper bloke. You know, that is what they need to be. But besides their fancy attachments and accessories for the male companions, I'm not really sure where this is going to pan out, actually, because, you know, standard starts in the jungle. I haven't seen Maokai jungle for a long time, though.
Yeah, Maokai hasn't seen as much popularity in the jungle, especially with the preseason. Aftershock definitely does give him some kind of value, though, because he does synergize so well with it. It's going to be interesting to see what he's going to go for, especially if he does get the Righteous Glory. That will increase his ganking power a lot, although it is kind of a delayed spike. So we're going to have to wait and see on that. Something to mention here, in this bot lane, already looking at the itemization, we see Varus opting into the Doran's Blade and Janna opting into the Ancient Coin. I don't really like either of those choices. I think Varus definitely benefits a lot from that sustain, and it will help nullify some of that poke. And I think that Janna can be much more of a lane bully if she goes for that Spell Thieves. And she synergizes really well with it.
I completely agree on the Spell Thieves point, because a lot of the time you see, you know, these W max Jannas, and they do so well in just bullying people out of lane. People underestimate that time and time again, the W max comma Janna. And if you're going that route anyway, I think you definitely need to fully commit.
Yeah, I mean, with even just taking Summon Airy and 3 points W, then E max, you still will be getting a lot of damage in those early levels. And so, while you don't have to completely commit your whole, you know, mid-game into that, oh, and the gank in the mid lane.
Oh, it's a good engage. Feral AF does get out, though. Not enough CC on the Maokai to hold him down the cleanse. Came in just at the right time, but no summoners on the Syndra and a static mid laner means that Misty could be looking for a repeat gank in the future.
Yeah, both summoners blown there. That's a pretty big deal, especially with that cleanse being down. That means Syndra is very susceptible to that Maokai lockdown with the Xerath E as well. Oh, look at this topside though.
Another duel, Stevie Freak. He pulls that out, starts double slapping, but he's already at below half HP. His mid laner, he can come up. Linera is there as well, and now the flash over the wall. Sertsu is chasing down Stevie Freak. This should be the first blood that they were looking for, and it is. Maokai secures that one to Zac. Gets away for now, but an unfortunate catch in the jungle. Stevie Freak perhaps overestimating his damage a little and underestimating the tree.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good response from Sertsu, and Feral AF, or Feralaf, what are we going with?
Feral AF. Let's say Feral AF.
I'm going to opt into the Feralaf. One of us has to be right at that point, so...
Yeah, probably.
At least he can't complain about both of us, but
well, maybe. Either way.
Feralaf not being able to respond because taken so low and forced to back means that Sertsu gets the good response in, and it turns this fight in the topside jungle into a 3v2 in favor of Oak's proper blokes. So, yeah, pretty proper play from them so far.
Whoa, oh my! That's a big amount of damage. Very surprised Janna drops their second Overlord, being taken out by Squid Shooter, but it was just... I'm not really sure where it all came from.
Baron too?
Little close, and he does heal it away. Oof. He has to be careful with himself. Does not want to get killed, and especially right after his support dies, you cannot disrespect. You know, it's 1 versus 2. As is, the Varus Lulu has so much poke.
Yeah, and that Tristana getting extremely low with her Janna taken out. A bit interesting to see, especially considering the Relic Shield start on the Tristana, that they were getting dropped so low. Maybe just not taking optimal trades, but definitely unfortunate that Janna dying with sums up in that bot lane, giving over a free kill and summoner advantage to Squid Shooter and Sakura Devanim.
Right now, looks like it's breaking down pretty much even. Of course, the CS lead in the bot lane does contribute to a slight gold advantage, but Nothing too massive to kill. Definitely a bigger concern as of this point, and I gotta say, I was expecting aggression in terms of the bot lane, but it was so weird to see the Janna drop and not blow flash, not blow sums.
Yeah. I do want to mention that we are getting at that 6-minute mark, and all of these stopwatches are coming online, so that is definitely something for Oaks Proper Blokes that is
Engaged by Misty, he's going in with the root. They do get onto Lulu, flash over the wall. Will they get the kill? They need to focus on this. The W, the ignite, it will be enough. Maybe not, actually. The shield is going to keep her alive, and she does make it out. So close in the end. Sakura still brings it back. I cannot believe he lived through that.
Yeah, I mean, didn't even drop the exhaust. I don't know if there was a good opportunity to exhaust there, but definitely really good to get out there.
Turret. Oh,
Linera
cancelled out by the Janna. A brilliant stop will be the end of the Varus and Tristana. Both AD carries dropping to their respective junglers. They do actually, Varus took out the Tristana. Another kill for him is a good sight to see, especially now that he's got gold. Looking about 600 over his compatriot.
Yeah, it was maybe a little bit over aggressive to go for that dive, especially without knowing where Zac is. They might have actually seen Lunara come in on the backside because of that ward in the tribush. So interesting to see that they went for that dive. And while you look at it and say, oh, 1-for-1, that was a fine dive. It didn't go too bad. The kills are where it matters. You have 2 kills on Squid Shooter and 2 kills on I'm Just Misty. It is much more valuable to have it on that AD carry. And then if you look at it even further, you see 2 stopwatches were used. Those are pretty valuable, and so those being on cooldown and used in that fight is a pretty big deal. Oh, this top lane though.
Oh, Alfarius has to be careful with what he does. Every time you walk in the range of the pull on Alawi, you risk yourself going down because, you max test of spirit, you hit the clone, they lose half their HP.
Yeah, Alawi has a lot of damage. She does have some very bad matchups in the top lane and can get bullied out in certain matchups still. Range matchups are always very unfavorable for her. Anyone who has some kind of sustain or poke is kind of not too great either, but Cho'Gath being such a melee matchup, he does have some sustain due to his passive, which helps nullify some of that Alawi damage, but oh, look at this bot lane engage.
This is a pretty big one. They might actually be able to get the kill finally. Squid Shooter could be going down. Just Misty does actually pick it up. Again, taking the kill away. The Tristana cannot get a lucky break. Sakura is going to finally be given over. The first kill on the Tristana. The 4th for Oaks Proper Blokes.
Yeah, and while it does suck a little bit that the Maokai got the first kill there, Tristana does get the solo assist gold, which is half the value. So it's not that much of a difference. And we're probably going to see this Tristana get a lot stronger. She did get a lot of W resets in that fight, which is very notable. She W'd in first, got a reset because of the E5 charges popping, which allowed for the second jump, which executed Squid Shooter, which meant for another jump after that, which kills Sakura Devanam. So really good usage of that W resetting, and pretty good Tristana play so far.
Yeah, so far, it's actually not been too bad considering the lead that the Varus had. I mean, playing against, a significant lead in that bot lane is not easy to do in any scenario, but Linera's going to try and gank again. This should be a kill. Alfarius, he's low for now, but he stopwatches. He is going to be alive for the time being. Tries to get Linera, but only pops the passive. He is not going to finish off Stevie Freak either. The ultimate comes down, starting to rain onto the Zac Blobs. It's not in range.
Yeah, ooh, you gotta check that range indicator before you cast it. And maybe they might still get some chase here, though. I'm Just Misty dropping the ulti.
Yeah, not gonna actually get the snare. Feral AF is in the mix, though. Doesn't want to commit either. Nobody really wants to fully commit. I mean, it's Xerath, it's Maokai. You think you have enough damage until you get outranged.
Yeah, kind of just dancing back and forth in that fight.
Oh, maybe this is the time. He's catching him. Arcano Pulse for damage. There we go. Drops the Pulse. Drops the Alawi. The destruction is imminent, and Seritsu picks up another kill. First kill for him, but a good sign when they can manage to get a lane back into the running, I would say, because now the gold lead is even.
Yeah, I want to say, oh, the spot lane engage here.
Good ultimate. Fights everywhere on the map. Squid Shooter, again, aggressing forward, but that ultimate, those chains, are not finding purchase.
Yeah, maybe a little over aggressive, not enough follow up with it, and Sakura wasn't in range to kind of get any damage with that Lulu. And Lulu does a considerable amount of damage. I mean,
Absolutely.
if we look at her
I mean,
abilities, she is going for E max, or at least 3 points E, which does provide a decent amount of early game burst. And so you really need to be coordinating with your support when you're going to go for that kind of CC, chain. If you throw the Varus ulti into maybe like a polymorph, that means that Tristana's going to kind of be stuck there for a long time. Maybe get a decent chunk of damage on her, get some good trades in, but not coordinating well enough means that kind of just a wasted Varus ulti.
And would you say that the 3 points in E is the optimal Lulu build currently?
Yeah, so this has been kind of the standard for a while. Lulu goes 3 points E, then W max. On the flip side, Janna actually goes 3 points to 5 points W, or sometimes 2 points, depending on if you want to, get that E max at level 9, but 2 to 5 points W, and then goes for E max. So kind of the reverse in those supports. Another interesting one we have is in the Alawi in the top lane, and Stevie Freak did it right this game. The Emax on Alawi is so disgusting. You get so much poke damage from that, and it's so safe to play with.
Yeah, I think the Emax has historically been just such a good decision for Alawi because it allows her to stay safe, with it, which a lot of melee bruisers and melee, fighters have a huge problem with. And here comes Linera. Be looking for Janna. Not sure how long a slingshot is. It's long enough. There we go. Definitely. Starting it up. Unstoppable. Bouncing it back. There we go for a little bit, a lot of bit. 1, 2, and 3 counts a CC, leading into a kill.
Yeah, kind of just clean execution. Dropping 2 ultimates for it, possibly overkill, but it is definitely secured. And so, as long as they aren't going to be going for any kind of aggressive teamfight plays, that should be fine. Although, looking at this minimap, we see Maokai and Xerath roaming down. They might have wanted to save some of those ultis.
Except for the fact that the Xerath didn't actually go through River, so he didn't have a pinch on them, and neither did the Maokai.
Yeah. At that point, you can't really get anything. They had, all 3 of their ultis compared to only Lulu having their ulti. So that might have been a fight they wanted to take, especially since Stevie Freak doesn't have teleport. And I Am Alfarius could have just backed and TP'd in. Although if he did that, he would lose the tower, but there was options there to play around.
I mean, he's still probably going to lose the tower here because he just can't back right now.
Oh, maybe losing his life, getting that Q hit.
Silence, yeah, he's dead. Oh, wow. That was over-optimistic at best.
Yeah, and that top lane tower looks like it's going to be dropping. That Stevie Freak is getting a lot of damage onto this tower. It's going to drop, and that's a giant gold lead. I mean, if we look at the gold differences, 2,300 for Alawi. This Cho'Gath is just getting dominated. I mean, that's kind of what you expect.
That's the entire gold lead. Yeah. That is the entire gold lead.
Yeah.
It's on that Alawi.
I mean, even more than that. Like, that's more than the gold difference, actually. So, the Alawi is where the gold is at. And that's not bad by any means. You play around this Alawi, right? You have all this CC. You can speed her up with the Lulu. You can buff her up. You can lock them down, CC them with the Zac, drag them into the Alawi ulti with the Zac ulti. I mean, this is, like,
looking pretty good.
An Alawi comp, believe it or not.
I see in the mid, Root does get some damage. Feral AF has to flash, but can he flash the ultimates? He is dodging, dipping, diving, and weaving, but the Arcano Pulse lands for a kill. Linera, too late, too little, misses the ultimate as well.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a little bit of a misplay dropping the summoners there. I think that Feral AF, I'm not saying Feral AF too, it could have just saved the summoners, because at that point, there's no way to get out from all that CC, even dropping the cleanse, unless they, they don't chain it properly, which they did. Yeah. So you have to think
it's a matter of, you sometimes want to be conservative and save that summoner.
Yeah, I mean, you hear people say, "Oh, you died with both summoners up. What the hell? What are you doing?" But if you save those summoners, the next time that Maokai comes by, you might be in a better situation, and you could use those summoners to actually live. Here, you drop both of them, and you still die. That's kind of the worst case scenario.
Yeah, especially because if you still have your summoners, it makes you a worse target to gank, because they know that you have your summoners up.
Yeah. We are seeing the spectator bug where it does freeze up a lot, so And it's happening very
It's
frequently.
on both of
So
our clients. We're both disconnected from each other. It happens.
yeah, that's kind of a Riot bug. It's been in Spectator for a while. Like, how long? A year
Two and a
now?
half years.
Yeah, way too long. But we make do with it. That's kind of why you also see the game speed up at random times. We're just catching up to the live. But we make do, as so is Oaks Popper Blokes going for this dragon here. Maybe
Making do
a
with
bit
their
of a
bottom
risky
half
call as
map.
they're leaving mid-open.
Sertu can clear for a bit, though. He does have some ways to zone people off. Squid Shooter might try to steal, doesn't get it. Smited by Misty. But can they get the fight after the follow-up? Not in range.
Yeah, and now that that dragon is gone, there isn't too many objectives globally. You know, there's obviously this Herald that's being dropped, though, and that will get some objectives secured as these mid towers are looking mighty juicy.
A curious use of the Maokai ultimate, but it does zone them off the turret for now, allows them to kill the Rift Herald. Xerath, right of the Arcane. Will he get someone? Feral AF, still not dead. I gotta say, so far, Sertsu on this Xerath, he's been instrumental in keeping this pressure even.
Yeah, and I want to say that Sertsu and I'm Just Misty have had really good coordination. I mean, you see them roaming around together, you see them collapsing on people together. Overall, this mid-jungle synergy looks to be what's dragging them through this game so far. I mean, it looks like their top lane's at a bit of a deficit, their bot lane's at a bit of a deficit. This mid lane is where all their power is at. This mid-jungle duo, sorry, is where it's at. With that, this
Top
game is
lane
coming...
for one team, mid jungle for the other. I mean, you know, it's an interesting scenario when you have only your split pusher is strong and you can't win the 4v4. It's a little bit frustrating almost. You know, you need to use the Alawi better then. You need to rotate her towards the bot lane maybe. You need to try and get more turrets with it. And basically put her on whatever side of the map you don't want to try and pressure for objectives.
Yeah, that dragon was taken around the 17, late 16 minute mark, so Baron will be the first objective up. Now, 20-minute Baron is really strong compared to the champions that will want to take it. So while we will see teams prioritize some vision control around there, they aren't really going to start it unless there is an ace or a 3-champion lead in a fight. And so,
Or they see 3 people on the wrong side. I mean,
yeah, definitely. Speaking of 3 champions on the wrong side, ooh, we see a lot of people collapsing down on this bot lane. We might see some fights break out here in a second.
Stevie Freak could be getting caught here, knocked up by Nanedo, stunned up. A great chain of events, and Stevie Freak flashes onto Sertu. He cannot find the full kill yet, though, and the slapping is missing its mark. He's knocked out of the fight for now. Still more damage coming in, though. Alongside the teleport, it's not over yet. Here comes the Cho'Gath. Alfarius is looking for the Oms, he's looking for the Noms. He doesn't get the kill, but Arcano Pulse will. The Zac is crumbling into pieces, and that Jello is going to be smashed into the ground. The river swallows up the remains, and the Blokes are going to walk away, maybe walk towards the Baron even.
Yeah, Baron spawning up in 44 seconds. And we did mention, you know, a 3-champion lead. Look at those timers. That is a 3-champion lead. Although they're really low timers, and Alawi does have teleport, so that is not going to be the objective in sight. This mid tower, however, does look to be mighty fine for the taking.
They get the mid. They can reset 30 seconds to Baron-ish is not the worst, but they really can't do anything about it. They don't have vision control around it either. I think they might have used the time to do so, but they just have not opted for it yet.
Yeah. Baron is spawned now, though, so we are going to have to see these teams prioritize a little more vision control around there. We only see 1 pink ward so far on that Baron. And so hopefully the teams will, you know, start getting some vision up there. Leaving Mobarin in the bot lane is actually an interesting choice. You don't really want to leave your ADC in a side lane far away from the objective that you want to go for. So maybe some misrotations here from Oaks proper Blokes.
But the issue is, on the side of, sorry, I'm going to pull up the name instead of just the STP that I have down. Spent traffic on Prawn.
Yeah.
STP, spent traffic on Prawn. Because I only had the acronym, so I apologize for that. My bad. I'm going to have it here for now. And they've put both their AD carry and their support matching the AD carry and support in the bot side right now, and that seems a little bit curious. But they do have two in the top side trying to gank Alfarius. Will they be able to get the kill? I'm not so sure. It's a big Cho'Gath, but this is the start of the damage. They still have so much more stun. CC dropping the ultimate. That is unleashed power, and it's an unleashed kill right onto the Cho'Gath. That gives them top lane priority.
Yeah. Now, however, with those two in the top side, they're looking to make a play on this bottom tower. Dragon is spawning in about a minute, and so they're looking for this to play down here.
Still get damage. Stevie Freak, he does get the kill. Maokai already dead. Now he continues on. Ultimate still ticking. The slaps are there. But the kill is not. One will have to suffice for now as they go towards this turret. They want their own turret. They want an objective now.
Yeah, and I mean...
Still getting second tier on the top side, too.
We already see there how that Alawi is going to play out in those team fights, right? That wasn't even the ideal scenario where there's more people, where her team has even more CC, right? The Zac being probably the member with the most CC, not even there. And we already see that they're just destroying people for that Alawi, just locking them down, allowing her to go crazy. You've got to wonder what the response is from Oaks Proper Blokes, because if they don't close out this game, it looks like spent traffic on Prawn is just going to run away with it.
Maybe. I think the big X factor, I hate saying X factor because it's intangibles, you can't count on it. Tristana does scale extremely well. She has great range, she has great CC, she has great positional advantages over the Alawi in the sense that in late game her ranges are bigger than the Alawis, you know? So, barring them allowing her to walk into their team, they're going to have a huge time dealing with this Tristana and Feral AF already getting CC'd. He is surely going to drop the fourth shot, plus the Janna W is just enough to make it happen.
Yeah, and we see Janna did not go for a W max, instead went for, oh, maybe, went for E max and then W, so not going for that early game aggression that we like to see from Janna's, but still going to have that extra shielding value, which does help Moburin on that Tristana, and we already saw, you know, Moburin pop off, so we could see that very likely again, especially with that extra shielding and AD. Game coming to a bit of a standstill. A lot of fighting.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That's a good flash, good W, but will they have enough follow-up damage? I'm not so sure, because now the Janna is coming in, though, and they do have Tristana here as well. They're going to give over one kill. Will they give over a second? Linera trying to escape. He cannot do it. Stevie Freak is on the backside, hammering away at that clone, but Feral AF has nobody to protect him, nowhere to run. The turret, though, is going to give him refuge for now, but they have to deal with this Alawi or else he's going to go rampant on this team. He already has the Janna down. Will he get more? The CC is not enough right now, and Stevie Freak is still alive in the middle of this team. He finally gets brought down by Sertsu, but that was almost catastrophe. The blinking red health bars are a stark reminder of the fact that you cannot ignore this Alawi.
Yeah, and if, you know, if spent traffic on Prawn was the ones in the driver's seat for that fight, and they were the ones doing the engaging, the locking down for Stevie Freak. I mean, Stevie Freak just came up on the back end there and basically just tried to 1v5, and look how close it was to working out, right? So if they execute this a little bit better, watch those health bars though, may see an execute. As long as we see a little more coordination from the side.
Huh. Great stop with the NATO. And I think Linera might be a little bit in over his head here. Teleport, it's going to keep him alive. He's going to revive, maybe. Actually, no, the blob will just come up now. They do leave, but teleport used. That means that global pressure is still going to be given over to Alfarius and the side of proper Blokes.
Yeah. We did mention we might see an execute. The Alawi did leave some really low health bars, and that meant that a little too low to take Baron safely, so unfortunate. But they still do secure the Baron.
You got to keep that in mind always, you know. People, sometimes, as we saw there, they don't exactly know how much it does. You got to be very, very careful when you go there. Linera, remember, he doesn't have passive. One flash will do it, except for the ultimate. Oh, they're going to stop it for now. All the CCs being used. Flash forward, E stunned by Sertsu, and now eaten by Alfarius. He does take one down. Misty, he's in the top lane. He's actually getting hammered quite a bit. Health bar dropping below 2/3. But for now, still alive, still kicking.
Yeah. And I mean, while they did lose some members there, they do have the Baron, and they're making a push with it here, taking down this mid T2 tower, maybe looking for the inhibitor turret afterwards. We're going to have to see. We do see Stevie Freak getting in an interesting position, maybe going to get a good flank off here.
If he does, it's going to be massive. I mean, he doesn't have flash up. He could be getting CC'd. He is getting chain CC'd. This is a tragedy for him. He's still healing, though. Still doing damage. Still slapping. 2 seconds each. He's going to try for the choke after the Tristana jumps in. That's not where you want to be. Mabarin still lives, though. Thank his lucky stars he's not dead right now.
Yeah, and I think that Stevie Freak might not have communicated to his team properly, and his team definitely didn't respond properly. I think with some follow-up, that could have been a one-team fight. Spent traffic on Prawn, not really coordinating with his Alawi too much. That's the 3rd fight we've already seen that this happened, right? Maybe the 2nd? I can't recall, but we've only seen one decent fight with this Alawi, and this isn't what we want to be seeing with it. I mean, we want to see some kind of CC combos, locking them down, bringing them to that Alawi. Instead, we're seeing Alawi just run in, and they're running after the Alawi.
The backline when she's not the only person diving. That's the key. If they can get someone else, the Zac, the Lulu making her bigger, you can get Syndra throwing stuns through. Anyone to assist her so that she's not alone, then they could absolutely win a fight. Because as it is right now, that's a 9-kill lead, turret up, only 4,000 gold.
Yeah. Now, we see Tristana upgraded to the Relic Shield. It's going to make her a little bit harder for that Syndra to assassinate. And I mean, Furlaf has been a little behind on the Syndra, 151, down 40 CS to Sertsu on the flip side, who has been showing, the star power in the mid lane, 905 on that Xerath, 50 CS lead now, a fully stacked Dark Seal. There is a definite power gap here, and because of that, Mabarin isn't really too worried. With that Relic Shield upgraded, gonna have an extra effective 3 400 HP. Oh, an engage here though. Looks like it's just gonna be brushed off. Infernal is spawning though.
And Stevie Freak has to start putting on his blue suede shoes, all this CC, all this damage, and they're just letting him walk into the fight. He drops the ultimate, drops that, and they do get the dragon still. The fight rages though. The Zac does not bring anyone back, and he drops as well. This could be the beginning of the end. They're going to start killing them. 1, 2, 3. The double kill is already out. The Tristana is looking to get her 4th. Doesn't actually get it though. Still chasing the Lulu, not where she needs to be. Feral AF. And the Laui are in the fight, but they come back to clean it up. There we go. It is finally time for the Tristana to shine. 3 kills on the fight, a great 4-for-1, and this is where the Blokes start to take over.
Yeah, I mean, we finally see the kind of fight that we want to see from them, but just misexecution and just a little bit too late with how strong some of those members have become, notably Sertsu and Mabarin scaling up extremely well with the gold that they've been getting fight after fight. And I mean, if we saw this kind of fight, 5-10 minutes ago, easily won. But that Baron gold, all those fights giving extra gold over, and we just see a clean ace coming out. Or not a clean ace, as Lulu barely scrapes out alive, but so close to being an ace.
Not for lack of trying on Mabarin's part, put it that way.
Yeah. A bit unfortunate to see this. I mean, now you have to wonder, how are you really going to come back? Tristana, such a safe AD carry. You've got the Cho'Gath, who's just going to keep scaling up, becoming bigger and bigger. The same with the Maokai. You've got this beefy front line. You've got a really good back line with the Janna able to peel for those 2 long-range carries. Pause is coming out, though. Wouldn't be learning 5s without a pause. Gives us some time to digest the game, though.
It wouldn't be any league without a pause. The weirdest part is, every online league has pauses. You never see it in pro play. You never see it in anything else. But you see it here, right? You see it in a couple other games that pause features designed to be built into them, and you see keyboard issues and things. But the internet brings that element of
DC.
mischief. You know, whether it's your cat, decides to take a bite out of the router cables, or he decides to kick over your computer or lay on the fan so you overheat and it shuts down. I mean, I'm just saying cats are kind of assholes, but that's besides the point. What we do know is he's back. We're ready. It's only a minute-long pause, and
Yeah, hopefully we'll get back into this game shortly. Something I do want to note is that both tanks on the side of Oak's proper Blokes have a Righteous Glory. And so, as the Syndra, as the Varus, they both do have CC to kind of peel for themselves. But they've really got to be careful, because if they mistime their CC, or if they misuse it, even trying to use it aggressively, and they don't have it defensively, they might pay a very large price for that. Although it isn't horrible when you have two tanks running in, because running into an Alawi isn't necessarily the worst thing to deal with. A bit interesting to see also the laning assignments by both teams, actually, focusing on this bottom side when Baron's up in less than a minute. I guess it's to take down those bottom towers, but that's kind of sacrificing some of that Baron control. And so once they start going for that Baron, unless they can get some kills here.
Oh, here comes the dive. This could be it. They do manage to land a kill, and they get the Varus to boot. The Zac breaks into tiny little pieces. The Jello is scattered on the floor, and they just can't find the kill. Stevie Freak, a late ultimate. He will get Alfarius if this continues, but they do ult him away, and back Buster Shot is raining in. So is the Xerath damage, but here comes Mobaran. He does not care. He is unstoppable in this team, and Sertzu is legendary. This should be it. Spent traffic for Prawns. They only have 2 members left alive, and super minions marching into the base.
Yeah, and I mean, 3 kills. Oh, Xerath looking for an aggressive flash.
Doesn't get it either. Still chasing, still searching, but they should have the game wrapped up in a neat little package. It is the inhibitor falling, the Nexus turrets beginning to get chunked out. The Tristana does so much damage to these, and it's going to be game number 1 of our show match, going over to Oak's proper Blokes. They have it all. They've got even the Syndra to boot, and the Nexus falls.
Yeah, very close early to mid game, but once that later game early mid game, but once that mid game started rolling around and getting further and further in, the fights just keep getting worse and worse for spent traffic on Prawn. I mean, you saw that Alawi so close in so many fights, but not having the follow-up she needed from her team meant that Oak's proper Blokes could run away with it and take the victory.
All right, well, that does it for game number 1. We do have, this is best of 2, yes? We have agreed? Best of 2, okay, just making sure. Sometimes things happen, but we have a second game coming at you in just a few short minutes. While we get back in the lobby, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back. It is still the EU Showmatch. It's game number 2 between Oaks Proper Blokes and I'm going to spend traffic on Prawn.
That
I
one
said
is
I would
hard.
correct myself.
Spent traffic on Prawn. What
Like,
kind of name is that? I don't understand. It's probably an inside joke.
it's just something. Either way.
Yeah.
Um, that's besides the point. What is the point is
Pick ban.
game number 1 had some adjustments made for game number 2. Game number 2, there's much different picks and bans coming out. The two primary tanks from the side of Oak have been removed. They will be removed post haste, as you will see soon. But talk to me a little bit about the theory behind this pick and ban.
Yeah, so spent traffic on Prawn. They're getting a little memey with their bans. Those weren't actually their bans. Their first 3 bans were Tristana, Vladimir, Maokai. And so they're just making life hard for us. Jarsa, you're getting fired. But we already see GP Zac coming out. So Alawi was banned. And so instead, we see a Gangplank, which has similar level of carry potential for Stevie Freak, who we saw was kind of the backbone for the entire team last game. I mean, that Alawi was carrying the fights.
Yeah, I mean the fights that they did
Were
have a chance
lost.
in. Yeah.
They still lost the fights, but that was the only reason they had a fighting chance. So with the
Yes.
Alawi banned out, Gangplank, a decent substitute, also runs the Kleptomancy, so still going to make that same kind of play style of just being a bully. But instead of a Cho'Gath and Ornn is very, very valuable. He provides a lot of CC in fights. He provides late game scaling that, like scaling past the regular amount because of the Ornn upgrade items. And his tankiness and shielding values are just really high. So it's going to be an okay lane for Gangplank, but definitely a lot of value in those team fights with that Ornn for Oaks Proper Blokes.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of nuance to how Ornn has been picked, right? He's been picked as a top support flex mostly in most of the higher elos, so in that sense, I mean, he can be played, as a sort of counter to these other melees. He does very well into the Tom Kench, into the Alistair even, because he's unCCable. And, that means that things are a little bit more challenging, But when you get the Alistair and you get the Ornn, I mean, it's looking pretty good for your front line.
Yeah. Something to point out, Mo Baron did get the Vayne. It wasn't actually first picked. It was taken in the second rotation. So a bit interesting to see Ashe prioritized over the Vayne. Now, Vayne has kind of been extremely valuable. Competitive play, a bit less so, but in solo queue, she has been tearing it up. And it's interesting to see that wasn't banned, and it was actually just not even picked when it was given to spent traffic on Prawn. Maybe they think they have a proper response to it. But I mean, that it's a bit risky to give that to Oaks Proper Blokes.
Oh, it's always risky, right? Vayne's the best AD carry in the game. She has, most importantly, right, late game scaling carry potential, high amounts of infight mobility, and she goes completely untargetable in the sense that she's invisible. So, if you combine invisibility with high mobility and late game carry potential, you have a champion that's very hard to deal damage to, let alone actually kill and or lock down in late game fights. So
yeah, but
that answer that you were talking about, what could they answer with? I mean,
well, they have a lot of answers actually. So if we look at it, Zac can get condemned out of Elastic Slingshot, so that's going to be a little rough. But Faralaf has the Rise, has that Rune Prism. We have the Enchanted Crystal Arrow from Squid Shooter, and we have the Morgana Dark Binding. So that's a lot of CC. And if Mo Baron gets hit by just one of those, that might mean a dead Ashe. Or, sorry, dead Vayne.
Yeah. That's true. He could be, caught by the CC. He could be
and
eliminated.
even if the CC isn't what kills him, you still have Stevie Freak on that gangplank. If he gets fed enough, he can just delete Vayne, 2 shots, barrels into a Q. That's it. Vayne's dead, right? So you have to keep an eye out for that Vayne. I mean, there is a lot of frontline though. You have the Jarvan, you have the Ornn, you have the Alistar. Our skill shots are really gonna get past that, and even if they do, you have an Anivia wall to block him off. So I mean, Vayne is in a pretty safe spot here. We'll have to see, but one little misplay, one misposition from Mo Baron could spell a dead Vayne, which means a lost team fight, potentially losing the game.
It's risky, right? It's riding on the shoulders of one man, and that man is Mo Baron. The Anivia does some damage, but as a team, that is a very low damage team, right? Ornn, Jarvan, Alistar. Jarvan has a little bit of damage. You can build him full AD, but then he turns really squishy. He risks getting one shot by the Rise, by the Ashe, by the CC coming out. And as a whole, I think they are very dependent on Mo Baron to carry them through this game.
But Vayne does a great job at that. I mean, probably the highest DPS champion in the game at the moment. Definitely one of them, if not the most. So, and even if that Vayne doesn't work out too well, you have an Anivia, amazing wave clear, can stall out games so well and get that Vayne into that late game stage. I mean, overall, Oak again has a really good composition, and it's going to be interesting to see if Spent Traffic on Prawn can kind of take advantage of that early game where they have all that pick potential, all that CC, and kind of get a lead and run away with it and close the game out before Sertsu, who did really well on the Xerath last game, can stall it out.
I think Anivia is much the same champion. She's got wave clear, she's got wave management, she controls and stalls the game in the same sense. And was Xerath banned in the pro draft? I believe he was. Let me check. I don't have it on me. Anyway, he's probably banned on the pro draft. Doesn't really matter. What does matter is that we are finally getting into game number 2 between these two teams. Spent Traffic on Prawns is looking to get a revenge win. They want to make adjustments. They want to show what they have and how it works. And I've got to say, it's a very drastic composition. They've got Gangplank, they've got Rise. Both are late game scaling. But are they late game enough?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, I think that the Vayne has a lot of value, and they might not be able to match that. We are already into the game, and so...
Oh, wow. That's the fastest loading I've seen in a long time.
Why don't you take it away, Zeta?
Okay, if you guys weren't here for the first one, it is Spent Traffic on Bronze on the red side now, while their compatriots, Oaks Proper Blokes, have swapped over to blue. Of course, these two teams have played one match already. Oaks Proper Blokes did end up winning that match, but it's a show match. It's not about what the score is. It's about what you learn, what you show you can do in the games. And certainly Stevie Freak, last game, he showed us quite a bit, but they didn't show us the communication that I really wanted to see.
Yeah, and we're going to have to see if that's going to be coming out here. Linara in a bit of an interesting spot, probably not going to have any kind of trouble. Just going to walk out, no hard CC. Something I want to see potentially from Linara, don't quote me on this, but a lot of junglers will buy support items. We are kind of in a support item meta on this patch, where mid laners are buying Spell Thieves, top laners are buying Spell Thieves, Coin, ADCs are almost always buying Relic Shield. Again, Squid Shooter not opting into that Relic Shield, instead going for a Dorn's Blade. Mo Baron opting into that Relic Shield yet again. I like that a lot from Mo Baron, and I think it's a little greedy from Squid Shooter, but he made do with it last game. It didn't punish. He didn't get punished too hard, and he actually got a bit of a lead, maybe due to that extra damage.
Yeah, it's possible that it doesn't affect it too badly, but I still think that this is going to be a really good contrast between the two, right? This is the ideal scenario, in fact, for a Vayne, right? You have the melee support, double Relic Shield. That's the kind of sustain you want to see.
Yeah. Now, these mid laners are are still very vulnerable to the ganks. Surtsu, having the Anivia passive though, does make it so, it takes a while to kill him if he does actually get picked off. And so maybe getting a response gank in from that. Faraloff having a little bit of mobility, possibly due to the Rise Q, how it functions, where if he casts 2 other abilities before casting a Q, he will get that shield and movement speed. Having a little bit of mobility from that, and a little bit of protection. I don't know if these mid laners are safer than before, especially considering their shorter ranges. But again, gank heavy junglers, we will have to keep a close eye on this mid lane matchup.
Sorry, I was just trying to figure out why my visuals aren't proper. I don't really know, but I will do my best to do play-by-play anyway.
Are you not able to watch through the game, or?
No, I can watch. It's just there's artifacting everywhere.
Okay.
My GPU might be dying. Yeah, we'll figure that out. Stevie Freak is in a little bit of trouble in the top lane, but he has his jungler flashes back over the Ornn. Alfaria still chasing. Look at this long chase. I just Misty goes for that flag and drag, does not manage to land it. Stevie Freak could be getting out of this one. Slaps and claps the Zac Linera, forced to flash as well.
Yeah, already a lot of summoners blown in that top side, all on the side of spent traffic on Prawn. And so already a lead going over to Oak's proper Blokes with that good gank up on the top side. We do see I'm just missing dropping
something.
low.
Ooh.
A lot of health bars dropping really low already. A lot of action, no kills coming out in this early game.
Yeah, the no kills
that,
is interesting given the number of action.
Yeah, a lot of health bars dropping below half. I do want to make note that Stevie Freak opted into going for the Corruption Potion on GP. Now, we've been seeing a lot of support item starts, and we mentioned that. Oh, hold on. A lot of fighting going on in the bot lane, maybe? No? Just some
Doesn't
training?
get the stun. Black Shield blocks it.
Yeah.
That is the reason it could be difficult, right? The Morgana does decently in the Alistar specifically because of that difference. Where, you go in and you're like, oh, I'm going to be able to knock them up, and preempted Black Shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Stevie Freak does go for the standard kind of Corruption Potion start. It's going to be interesting to see if he does go for the Spell Thieves, since he is against that tank top laner. Oh, but look at this Jarvan here.
Engaged. Knock up now. It's a little bit late, but Squid Shooter still very low. Does get out. I'm not sure Mobaron wants to continue that, but he is going to turn away for now. I'm just Misty in this bush. They don't know he's there. They suspect it, though.
Yeah, and we do see Faraloff. He was walking down for a second, just setting up some vision. I like that Faraloff actually was doing that. He was potentially looking for a roam, and if... Oh, hold on a second.
Another jump in. Misty, Linera, both waiting around this bot lane for so long. Jungles were mostly cleared, but even so, that's a long time to spend just because you think the enemy jungler is still there.
Yeah, there was a few camps down for Linera, which are just respawning now. Although every single camp for I'm Just Misty was still up. So, a lot of time spent down there. Not much got from that. And I'm Just Misty hasn't even backed yet. Still no items, slow clears, no vision setup. A bit inefficient in the jungle pathing, I think.
Yeah. Inefficient might be the proper word. Also might be, mistake. Either way, what we do have is we've got a relatively expected outcome in the bot lane, right? The Ashe doesn't do particularly well at stopping Vayne from achieving any of her objectives, and especially against an Alistar, Morgana is reactive and not proactive, which gives you, the burden of play put back onto the Alistar. You can't really affect the game unless he decides you can.
Yeah. And I mean, we see that this bot lane is just kind of going slow, just grabbing sight zones. They're just playing around vision right now because those junglers are playing a lot down there. So they want to make sure that they are aware of when they're getting ganked. As opposed to last time when both junglers spent 20 minutes down there waiting for a gank.
The vast majority of a match, you just wait, and you wait, and you wait. And because you're a Zac, it makes sense, and it works out.
I do want to talk about
Yeah.
these mid lanes a little bit. Nice chunk landing onto Mo Baron. A few more of those, and they can maybe make an aggressive play, actually. But
Look
Relic
at the
Shield
healing.
healing up, yeah.
We're talking about the double relic shield healing, right?
Yeah, and the Alistar
that's why.
passive. That's why you
just,
go
it's
Relic
so
Shield.
impossible to hope somebody go down. You know, it's just, you can't kill them. And as much as people say, oh, aggressive, carries still have a place, they sort of do. They sort of don't, Like, even against a Jhin, against Kate Lulu, things like that, I've still sustained through lanes like this. I'm sure you have as well, where you're just supporting someone and you just get through the lane. Doesn't
And I
matter
mean,
how much they throw at you.
That's probably playing a factor in why Caitlyn has such a low win rate right now. That sustain is so hard to
Absolutely.
deal with, and so
As a poke champion, your job is get that laner and oppress him. Make him not have a great lane, make him stalled a bit on his item and his decisions and his choices, and if you can't do that, you don't do anything.
Yeah, and another benefit of that is that the supports will get a lot of income. This Alistar is going to get a lot more golden than Morgana, and therefore going to become a lot tankier and a lot more useful faster into this game. So, right now support items are pretty even, but when the Alistar gets Mobies, compared to the Morgana with just paper bag boots, that's a pretty big deal.
Paper bag boots. Absolutely. The brown boots, not known for their style, not known for their grace, but they are known for giving you a little bit extra of a funny face, which is a first blood waiting to happen. The slow motion pin into the wall has been an issue for myself, but does actually connect one way or another. And I'm not super sure. Have you been seeing that as well? When Vayne pins someone into a wall, they'll slowly move over, but they're instantly stunned?
It's mostly spectator from what it seems like, but
okay, because that's in my live client as well. I just wanted to see if that was a thing.
Possibly, but I did see it as well in spectator, so it's not just you.
Yeah, in live client that happens. Next time you're playing Vayne, take a look at it. Send us, a little message if you see something. That'd be really helpful, because I'm pretty sure it's a massive bug, and it's really hard to tell where somebody is if you pin them into a wall and they're sort of half moving over at about 20% speed.
Both of these mid laners, you can see they're going for that kind of mana build. Just keep on throwing abilities into the wave, keep on wave clearing.
Ryze does mana damage.
Yeah, and so, but mentioning that, Anivia uses mana, just to sustain her damage, right? She has that ultimate, which is just gonna eat away at her mana. Ryze actually gets immediate damage from it. He gets more damage from those ability casts, not just being able to cast more and more frequently. And so it means that Ryze is going to have a little period in this early game where he's going to have a pretty decent power spike. With that tier, maybe once he gets that catalyst,
but he doesn't have mobility. He could be getting ganked, and he is getting ganked. CC, look at this stuff. Knocked back into the Anivia. Maybe not actually the Ouster. Has to consider that he's dropping low. He's going to take one more shot. Headbutts his way out of the pit.
Yeah, that was such a close dive. Good stopwatch usage from I'm Just Misty, dropping the aggro.
And from Feral. I gotta say, if he had used that stopwatch initially on the engage and then flashed after, he absolutely wouldn't have died.
I think
there.
flash first, and so that way when you stopwatch, you're a little further away, so they might not be able to.
Yeah, so they can't instant CC. That's a possibility as well.
It's probably the safer play to go
probably
for.
Probably the safer play. You're all right. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a bit misusage. Honestly, I think if he flashed sooner, dodged a little bit of that CC, a little bit of that damage coming in from that Jarvan EQ maybe, and also forcing that Jarvan to be further under the tower when he drops that ulti.
And then
that
he
might have gone differently. I mean,
someone might have gotten out. Might not have gotten out at least.
There was two super low health bars. They might not have committed for it had he done that. So he might have lived, or he might have gotten a kill or two. I mean, you never know, but those are the little things that make or break those fights.
All ifs, ands, or buts, but what we do know is that there's no turret here for Stevie Freak. He is unsafe on this gangplank, and that's an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, Ornn now having the Phage and some armor means that Alfarius might actually play a little aggressively into that GP. We're gonna have to wait and see, how that's gonna pan out with, their mana costs and whatnot, and if someone just runs fighting back and forth. But some decent damage onto that gangplank already.
So Vayne has actually opted to tumble into an arrow. That's not the greatest thing in the world. Mobaron gonna heal, gonna flash, does get out, but here comes the rest of the team. It's almost all but over. Free Shooter, Squid Shooter is down. He is going to go to the place of the gold sacks in the sky, thrown away by his teammate Sakura. Again traded over. Sertsu takes that one, and a great rotation by Oak's Bloke.
Yeah, and if you look at summoners too, 3 summoners used there, for no summoners basically. Squid Shooter using both summoners, not making it out. We touched on it last game in the mid lane when Farrelaf used summoners. Oh my.
That's Ornn. That's Ornn, baby. He's a ram, he gets what he wants. The CC train has no brakes.
And that is very opposite of what we saw last game when Stevie Freak was in the driver's seat. I'm Alfarius kind of saying, no, he's not going to be the star of the show. I am, and getting that solo kill.
Be fair, Ornn was also banned last game.
Yeah, we see why.
Because Ornn is an incredibly strong pushing champion, and Gangplank, until he gets 2 or 3 items, really doesn't push that well. It's deceptive, You'd think with the barrels, he'd be able to actually control and manage wave. It's just not the case. He needs items to do so. He needs a later phase in the game in order to match Ornn at all.
Yeah, and I mean, now Vayne 102, Anivia 102, Jarvan 202, and Ornn having a kill. Every single person has a kill, has a lead. 3.5k gold lead so far, with a Rift Herald, which can secure maybe another tower or so. And you've just got to be thinking, they won last game, and that was with that Alawi who was doing massive work. Without the Alawi, no kills so far. For the side of spent on traffic on Prawn, losing this tower now, this is just everything going disastrous.
I mean, it is, at this point, I would say, safely in the pocket of Oak. I mean, they've got, so much gold. They've got an advantage of 4k at 13 minutes. It's not huge, but it's definitely noticeable, right? They've got an Ashe that's well on her way to items. Actually, curious stop in the Ashe items, and something I wanted to touch on. She's opted for an early Targon's Brace. She upgraded the Relic Shield. Do you think that upgrade is gold efficient in the slot?
The Vayne items?
The Targon's Brace specifically.
Yeah, sorry. You said Ashe, and I was like, Bork?
Oh, I did? I'm completely...
Yeah. Okay, so on the Vayne with Relic Shield, the reasoning that Relic Shield is so efficient right now is...
No. Bought Targon's as an upgrade.
Yeah, you do upgrade the Relic Shield. You
Really?
want to, yes. So the reason that you upgrade it is for the extra health. If you look at that enemy team, they have a lot of pick and they have burst damage on that GP. You don't want to get bursted. If you upgrade that Relic Shield to the Targons, you get the quest from it, which gives you an extra 300, 400, 500 HP, depending on what you have, what levels. And that value of effective HP makes it so you as a Vayne can play so much more aggressively and not have to worry about being punished.
Okay, so it's about the shield passive, because when you said health, I looked and I was like, it's about 100 health. That's, it doesn't seem slot efficient in the least. But yeah, when you talk about it like that and it's 500 health for 500 gold, that's quite efficient. Yes.
And it's also basically like a pseudo lifesteal. You can use it to heal off of the waves, so you get some healing from it too. It's pretty efficient for ADCs. With the support item changes coming out in the next few patches, that's gonna have to hold on. Look at this. Morgana.
Dive onto Sakura. He is going to be going down for sure. Sertsu takes it, and right now, I mean, it's just, this has been the story, right? As someone walks out solo, Stevie Freak,
out of
the
position.
next one in the line. Even with the arrow, I think he's still probably going to go down. The pin not actually used. He's in the Jarvan ultimate. That's something you can't cleanse. It's terrain, baby. And they do get a kill for themselves. 7-0 gold lead. Slowly expanding to fill the ever-hungry pockets of Oak. They need this dragon. They need objectives because they are hungry to get more gold. Sertsu, flashes out.
Yeah. And, I mean, already Earthdrake going over. A Cloud Drake, while not the most sought after, still nice to have. Especially if you consider this team composition, it's actually a pretty good Drake to have. The Jarvan and Alistar make great usage of it, They can go together, ward much faster because of that extra movement speed. And then also, it helps their engage, They don't really stay in combat when they're making that engage. So Jarvan able to run up, means easier engage, which means it's even worse for the side of spent traffic on Prawn.
Free turrets, I mean, there's really nothing they can do to contest the outer turrets. They have to try and defend further into this base, so we'll see if they can. Because right now, the Gangplank backing, the Ornn ultimate goes in, and they do separate out a little bit more space, try to get more damage onto this turret. Moberen and Co. still doing immensely well. This is a flawless game so far. No turrets given up, no drakes, no kills.
Yeah, and we're going to have to see if they end this game perfectly. I mean, so far it looks like it. And the longer this game goes, the more items Vayne gets. And we all know how scary Vayne gets when she gets 3 items, even just 2 items. I mean, she scales so well. And so we were saying that we want to see Spent Traffic on Prawn get some kind of early lead, because that's how they win this fight.
Oh, big ultimate. Oh, but I'm just Misty rooted up under turret. He's still tanking it. He actually goes down. The Ashe with the first kill on the fight. This could be the start of the turn. STP are looking for kills. They get Alfarius as well as a double kill. And the turret didn't even go down. Flawless. Not anymore.
Yeah, just as we were praising. I mean, that's caster curse, I guess. But really over-aggressive dive there. Kind of just, they were a little too overconfident, it felt. Not having the Ornn ultimate, not properly focusing down targets. I mean, Squid Shooter wasn't even in that Jarvan ulti, who is, Ashe is a pretty valuable target to have. You can't just take down, the tanks. That just won't work. And so, not having proper focus, not coordinating properly, and just taking an iffy dive means they're going to give up some momentum. They're still definitely in the lead.
I think that they need it in order to try and close this out before the power spikes start to come in, right? The GP just got his Triforce. He's starting to get items. The Rise is on an item, almost an item and a half. It's getting to the point where they're actually becoming a little bit, challenging to kill, because they have damage and CC in particular to lock you down if you do try to do a dive like that.
Yeah, diving against that kind of team, Ashe ulti, Morgana Q, Rise W, plus Gangplank just having tons of slows, and then not even to mention the Zac, his whole kit. Oh, Sakurai in a bit of a sticky situation here.
Oh, not gonna get caught actually. Surprising, but I'm just Misty is starting to get turned on. There's the CC chains. They begin to roll in.
The Ornn
does not land the ultimate. Actually misses it out completely. The Vayne is on 200 HP, but Linera, what can he do? He can only split, trying his best. There's the Ornn, still full health. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but they do have damage. Feral AF has to run away from his own ultimate, can't get ported in, and they do continue the chase. There we go. Oak back on track. 1 kill for 2. Actually, 1 for 1. Excuse me there. Sertsu, gotta be a little careful there, buddy. Still doesn't work like that.
I think Feral AF actually has to be careful there. I mean, low health. Normally, it's like, okay, Anivia no mana, go on her. But when you have no health, you might not wanna. So, bit of skirmishing there. We saw Moberen get extremely low there. You know what saved his life?
What did save his life? Was it
that Targon's shielding? We saw him drop to about 100 or so HP, maybe even lower.
It was about 200.
That is the difference that Targon's made. I mean, you could have argued that maybe some more damage might have meant that he could get more healing from lifesteal that he would have bought instead. I don't.
To me, that's an issue, and I agree as an AD carry main that they should be removing that. I like to see AD carries.
They are nerfing it. So
yeah, 100%. They're actually they're
double
its
nerfing
usability from AD carries. They cannot use it anymore. It's not working.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Even if you are like myself, a diehard AD carry main, and you like being strong, it's better to be strong when you actually have to be good to be strong. I love it when games introduce skill. So for myself, it's a good change. Like it.
Yeah. As a support player, I'm crying because I was so happy with getting gold for once.
Every time AD carries take your items, they steal them and they ruin them. Actually, every lane. You've had it worse. The supports have had it the worst because every single person in the world
Sakura
steals your items.
That was so close to being a dead Morgana. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, it was just on the other side of the shield, but what is here is a flash in. Sertsu actually getting knocked up. A big charge. I'm just Misty's already dead, though. I'm not sure what they can do here because Moberen has to consider the fact that there's an egg in front of him and they're about to scramble it on the ground, but they get one. Stevie Freak and the pin into the wall. Janna. Oh, not Janna, excuse me, Vayne. Nowhere to be seen to finish that one off. Doesn't really want to tumble into 4.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw, this is how they can win this game, making some picks, turning around these fights with that Ashe ulti, with all that CC. But an appropriate response, and still a little too strong, Oaks proper blokes do turn around the fight. And so now we see them kind of clean, games evening out a little bit, which is surprising considering we thought this Vayne was going to be scaling up and this was going to become more and more in favor of Oaks proper blokes.
It's actually curious. I'm surprised that he doesn't have enough gold yet at 22 minutes for his first crit item. Because he doesn't have a secondary tree getting himself free boots. He's not getting gold from that. He's not getting, the extra gold from selling stopwatch later. A lot of little things. And also buying that, obviously essential Targons, but it's just a lot of little things that contribute to him not having enough gold at 2 kills. Good engage, though. The Rise, little bit trapped. They're going to keep going. The Ornn laying out the damage. Almost there. They're not going to be able to catch them, though. The Rise ultimate brings them slightly to the side, but Sertsu, with waiting arms, encompasses them in his icicle powers.
Yeah, and Sertsu, again, I don't know if he ended last game perfectly with a KDA on that Xerath. It was really close if he didn't die, or if he did die a few times, but I think he had a perfect KDA. I'm going to have to go back and check, but again, on this Anivia, 0 deaths, had the passive popped a few times, but that's it. And I mean, he has been playing so consistently this entire series. Definitely a stable player for this team, and they're playing around him very well.
Yeah, this is looking pretty good still, Sertsu has been the rock that they can depend on, as you said, in the mid lane, and even though there's no objectives, now they have a Baron. They've got a Baron at 23 minutes. It should be incredibly hard for them to clear because a lot of their wave clear is still trapped up in that GP. He does have Sterek second, but it's not going to be enough right now.
Yeah. And, it's something that, should be noted. Second Overlord has been kind of not finding too many good Alistar combos, which is a bit unfortunate because we want to see some kind of Alistar or Jarvan into Alistar or either or, right? Some kind of CC chain, which the Ornn can then follow up with his ulti, and then Anivia is dropping AoE damage, and Vayne's just critting with Static Shiv AoE. Oh, actually opting to the Rapid Fire Cannon first.
Oh, this is it's been seen before. Do you know what she's actually taking for the
Maroons, I believe, are Fleet Footwork, so it does increase the healing output from the Fleet Footwork.
I still think that I would much rather see, especially in a scenario like this, something that helps the AoE aspects of the Vayne. Obviously, that is their struggle. She is a major part of their damage, so much would rather see that. But for now, it is going to be okay for the first item. Will be quite some time though. Linera gonna go in, doesn't get Mobaran, and he actually completely misses it. Ultimate unstoppable though it may be, the damage is not, and here comes the rest of Oak. They are going to run roughshod over the remnants of STP. It is all but over. They're falling down, falling to pieces as the inhibitor crumbles under the might of their onslaught. This should be a minimum of a turret, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, they might be going for the end here. Baron getting some people low, and
that's the Rise.
Death timer is a bit long still, and it's
that
only Sakura.
It's going to be the game. 2-2-0. Both of the best of ones taken in the side of Oaks proper Blokes, and I gotta say, this ending clean is what it was.
Yeah, they had a few hiccups this game, but overall, clean, dominant play, going for objectives when needed, dropping only a few 2 towers, 4 kills, and playing slow and steady after they made those hiccups. Really just, they said, okay, we're going to clean this game out, play it slow and win it, do it safely. Had a hiccup, and they just said, stop, we're going to reassess this, and we're going to go back in with a plan of what we're going to do. They executed well, and they take a decisive victory.
Yeah, it's it was showcasing the fact that Sertsu not only has multiple champions, Alfarius does as well, and it's just a good display of skill. I gotta say thank you very much for both teams for coming out here and thank you very much to all of our viewers who are watching. We appreciate you being here, and we thank you for joining us on another Learning Fives production. We have, if you're interested, another match coming up later tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is going to be an NA show match, so if you're interested, tune in for that. But for now, it has been myself, Zeta, Meowing Cat, and thank you very much.